Science and Technology of China. This presentation highlights the scientific and technological achievements of China from ancient times to modern day. China is one of the oldest civilizations, and its innovation have influenced not only its own growth but also the rest of the world. China's role in science and technology spans thousands of years. China developed continuously, which allowed it to build upon older knowledge. For example, inventions like paper or the compass didn't stay in China alone. They spread globally and transformed communication, navigation, and warfare. What makes this contribution impressive is that they were not isolated. They integrated with philosophy, daily life, and governance. Famous Chinese contributions are called the four great inventions: paper, printing, the compass, and gunpowder. But beyond those, China advanced fields like astronomy, medicine, engineering, and mathematics. For instance, Chinese irrigation systems supported farming on a massive scale, while tools like seismograph and aquapuncture reflected both practical needs and philosophical views. Ancient China is considered one of the world's oldest continuous civilization, and its culture is still visible in modern times. One key feature is how science was always connected to practical life: farming, medicine, astronomy, and even politics. These weren't abstract theories, but applied innovation designed to improve survival, governance, and harmony with nature. The main point here is that Chinese science always balanced practically with philosophy. Astronomy in China dates back to Shang Dynasty, but it became very detailed during the Warring States and Han periods. The focus was on circumpolar stars, the stars that never set, because they gave reliable markers for time. Astronomy wasn't only for curiosity, it had practical uses: charting calendars, predicting eclipse, and setting months. This is vital for farming, rituals, and governance. Chinese astronomers had a serious job. They were expected to predict ellipses and chart time accurately. If they got it wrong, they could have been executed. That shows how important astronomy was to the state. On the other hand, astrologers focused on interpreting signs in the sky, like comets and unusual stars, as omens. The stars guided both the emperor's calendar and people's spirituality. Here we see one of the most impressive Chinese inventions: the seismograph, created by Shang Heng in the 2nd century. It could detect earthquakes happening far away, even when tremors weren't felt locally. This was crucial because earthquakes were seen as signs from heavens, and the emperor needed to know when they occurred anywhere in the kingdom. The armillary spear, invented in the 1st century BCE, is basically an ancient model of the sky. Made of rings, it shows how stars, the suns, and planets move relative to Earth. This helped map celestial objects and improve accuracy and astronomy.
Now let's move on to the gnomon. The gnomon was a simple but powerful tool, a vertical stick that cast shadows on a flat surface. With it, the Chinese measured the sun's position to determine time and seasons. By tracking shadow lengths, they even calculated the number of days in a tropical year. This shows how practical observation turned into scientific discovery. The water clock was another innovation in timekeeping, developed as early as the Han Dynasty. By the 11th century, Suzong built a famous astronomical clock tower powered by water, which even included an armillary sphere. This was a key step toward mechanical clocks. What's important here is that Chinese engineers weren't just measuring time, they were integrating it with astronomy and engineering. Next is a Chinese calendar. The Chinese calendar is one of the oldest and most influential timekeeping systems in the world. It was invented around 2637 BCE and is still used today for festivals like Chinese New Year. While many think of it as a purely lunar calendar, it's actually lunisolar, meaning it combines the moon cycles with the solar year. This kept time in harmony with farming and rituals. The genius of this system is that it prevented the calendar from drifting away from the seasons, which was vital for agriculture. To keep the calendar accurate, the Chinese added a leap month about once every 3 years. This method ensured their calendar stayed aligned with the solar year. They also divided the year into 24 solar terms, which marked seasonal events like the beginning of spring or the autumn equinox. On top of this, each year was linked with one of the 12 zodiac animals, which became central to Chinese culture. Each zodiac animal carries unique traits and is thought to influence the destiny of those born in that year. The zodiac is used in horoscopes, matchmaking, and even naming years and festivals. Beyond its spiritual role, the calendar shaped everyday life. It determined farming schedules, guided imperial ceremonies, and set the timing for community rituals. Next is the number system of the Chinese. The Chinese number system was decimal based, meaning it revolved around the number 10. This might sound simple, but it was revolutionary because it was a structured way to count, measure, and calculate. Rod numerals were an early counting method using bamboo sticks or rods made from bone, ivory, or wood. These rods were placed on a board in rows and columns to form numbers. Red rods represented positive numbers and black rods represented negative ones. What's fascinating is that this system was positional, meaning the place of the rod affected its value, similar to how we use place value today. Although it didn't have a zero, it was still a powerful system that allowed the Chinese to do complex calculations long before modern notation.
Abacus, also known as swanpan, the abacus is the one of China's most iconic invention in mathematics. Dating back to the 14th century, it's a wooden frame with vertical rods, each carrying beads that represent values. By sliding the beads, people could add, subtract, multiply, and divide quickly. Think of it as the world's first calculator. Even today, some merchants and students in parts of Asia still use the abacus because of its speed and reliability. Medicine. Introduction to the Traditional Chinese Medicine, or TCM. It is a holistic system developed over thousands of years. Unlike modern medicine, which often targets symptoms, TCM treats the body as a whole. Its goal is to restore balance between the body and the environment. This philosophy reflects Chinese culture's focus on harmony. What makes TCM unique is that it combines philosophy, observation, and practice, showing us that Chinese science was never judged technical. It was also deeply connected to the way people understood life itself. The four principles of TCM. Yin and Yang. One of the foundation of TCM is Yin and Yang, two opposing but complementary forces. Yin represent coolness, darkness, and rest, while Yang represent warmth, light, and activity. Illness happen when Yin and Yang are out of balance. For example, too much Yang might cause fever or dryness, while too much Yin might cause fatigue or coldness. This idea isn't just about health. It reflects broader worldview that balance and harmony are key to well-being. Next is ki. Another central concept is ki, the vital energy that flows through the body. There are different kinds of ki, such as the ki we inherit, the ki we get from food and air, and the ki that protects us from diseases. A healthy person has strong ki that helps them fight illness and recover quickly. When ki is weak, people feel tired, sick, or emotionally unstable. These concepts show how Chinese medicine connected physical health with energy, environment, and lifestyle. The five elements. The five elements theory links natural elements with body organs. Wood with the liver, fire with the heart, earth with the spleen, metal with the lungs, and water with the kidneys. This system helps practitioners diagnose illness by looking at the imbalances among these elements. For example, a weakness in the lungs might be linked to the metal element, which could also affect emotions like sadness. What's amazing is that this wasn't just medical. It was a way of seeing the universe where everything from atoms to seasons to organs fit into a cycle of balance and change. Next, the Zhang Fu theory. The Zhang Fu theory divides the organs into Zhang, or solid organs like the heart and liver, and Fu, or the hollow organs like the stomach and intestines. Illness happens when there's disharmony between this organ system. For example, if the spleen isn't functioning well, it might affect digestion and energy. This approach shows how the Chinese saw the body as interconnected. Herbal medicine. Herbal medicine is one of the oldest practices in TCM. It uses natural substances like roots, leaves, flowers, seeds, and minerals to restore balance in the body. What's important is that herbs aren't prescribed randomly. Practitioners first study the patient's yin and yang, balance, and elemental condition, then match herbs to correct imbalances. For example, ginseng is used to boost energy and ki, while chrysanthemum helps reduce heat or fever. Acupuncture is perhaps the most famous TCM practice today. It involves inserting fine needles into specific points on the body, called acupoints. It is to restore the flow of qi. The idea is that block or stagnant energy causes illness and acupuncture unblocks it. It is reducing pain and improving health. It's commonly used for stress, insomnia, and digestive problems. What's striking is how this ancient method had crossed into modern healthcare.
Cupping therapy is an old practice used for muscle pain, headache, and circulation problem. It is done by putting cups on the skin to create suction, which pulls blood and energy to the surface. This may seem strange, but it helps improve blood flow and reduce tension. The round red marks it leaves are not bruises; they are sign of better circulation. Even athletes like Olympic swimmer use cupping today, showing that this ancient Chinese method is still useful. Agriculture was the main support of China's economy and culture. It grows strong because of good geography, climate, and new farming ideas. In the north, farmers planted millet, wheat, and barley. In the south, the warm and wet weather was the perfect for rice. Rice became the main food that helped the population grow. China grew soybeans, tea, cotton, and hemp. Farming was important not only for food, but also for trade. Chinese farmers were very inventive. The iron plow, made as early as the 4th century BCE, worked better than modern tools and made farming easier. Other tools like animal drawn plows, seed drill, and wheelbarrows were also improved planting and transport. These tools were not only for farming, they showed China's practical way of using technology to solve problems. The chain pump was an important irrigation tool that helped lift water to higher land, making farming possible in those areas by turning a crank. Farmers used a chain of bucket to move water. Irrigation was very important in China, especially with rivers like unpredictable Yellow River. Chinese engineering built canals, dikes, levees, and reservoir to control water. Farmers also made paddy fields for rice, carefully guiding water for streams and man-made. Chinese architecture is known for balance, meaning, and unique design. Timber was the main material, and builders used special joinery so they didn't need nails. Roof curved upward to drain water, and as people believed, to keep away evil spirits. Buildings were made with symmetry and a north-south layout, showing the ideas of yin-yang and feng shui. The difference in social class was clear. Emperor had yellow roof tiles and tall buildings, while common people had simple homes. Palaces in ancient China were more than home for emperor. They showed power and authority. They were big, beautiful, and full of carvings, color, and wide courtyard. Their design showed the emperor's strength and the belief that rulers were connected to heaven. The Forbidden City is the best example, showing balance, order, and rich meaning. These palaces were both government center and great work of architecture. Temples and pagodas were built for religious and spiritual purposes. Temples were places for worship, while pagodas kept sacred relics. They were tall, beautiful design, seemingly to reach toward heaven. The Shaolin Temple is a famous example, known as the birthplace of martial art. This building showed how religion and architecture worked together in China.
Traditional Chinese homes were designed around courtyards, where extended families lived together. These compounds provided privacy, security, and a sense of community. The layout was symbolic too. The size of the courtyard often reflected wealth and status. Larger, more elaborate courtyards meant a higher social position. These homes weren't just for shelters. They were cultural spaces that shaped family life, emphasizing unity, hierarchy, and harmony with nature. Tombs and mausoleums honor the dead and preserve their status in the afterlife. These structures were often elaborate, with treasures and symbolic designs. A famous example is the mausoleum of the first Qin emperor, guarded by the Terracotta Army. These tombs weren't only about death, they showed beliefs in immortality, respect for ancestors, and the importance of legacy. They also reveal how architecture was used to connect earthly life with spiritual eternity. The four great inventions are often seen as China's most influential contributions to the world: paper making, printing, the compass, and gunpowder. These inventions transformed communication, navigation, warfare, and education. What makes them stand out is not just their practicality, but their global impact. Each of these spread far beyond China and became foundational for human progress. Paper was invented by Kai Lun in 105 CE during the Han Dynasty. Before this, people used bamboo, silk, or animal bones, which are expensive or inconvenient. Early paper was made from mulberry bark, hemp, and old drugs. It revolutionized communication by making books, records, and educational accessible. Paper also spread culture through literature and art. Eventually, it traveled westward and became one of the most important tools in global history. Without paper, schools, government, and even daily life would look completely different today. Printing began with woodblock printing in the Tang Dynasty. Text was carved into wooden blocks and pressed onto paper, a slow but effective method. Later, movable type printing was developed, allowing individual characters to be rearranged and reused, making book production much faster. This transformed education and knowledge sharing, as some people gained access to books and literacy grew. Printing in China laid the groundwork for mass communication, centuries before the printing press appeared in Europe. The compass first appeared in the Warring State period, originally used for divination and feng shui, not navigation. It was made of lodestone, a naturally magnetized material. Later, it became a vital tool for travelers and sailors, guiding long-distance journeys and trade routes like the Silk Road. The compass made global exploration possible. Without it, navigation across oceans would have never been far more dangerous. Gunpowder was invented in the 9th century by Taoist alchemists who were actually searching for an elixir of immortality. Made from saltpeter, sulfur, and charcoal, it was first used in fireworks and rituals. Over time, it was adapted for military purposes, leading to fire arrows, grenades, cannons, and eventually firearms. This invention completely changed the nature of warfare worldwide. What started as a spiritual experiment ended up altering global history, showing both the creativity and unpredictability of innovation. To wrap up,
China's contributions in science and technology shape both its own civilizations and the wider world. From farming techniques and medical practices to architecture and groundbreaking inventions, Chinese innovations improve daily life and push human progress forward.